talk primarily, at least for starters, about the movie. It seriously is the best rock and roll movie I've ever seen. I was stunned when I went to see it at the screening. I'd be interested to know when you set up the tour with all these gigantic, I mean, that setting there, was that made with a movie in mind, or did the idea of the movie come after that?
I think it all started when I looked at the pile of amplifiers that I had, you know, when I was rehearsing, and it just was such a gross pile of junk that I thought, you know, I mean, on the stage it would just look like we had this huge pile of stuff. So I thought maybe we could cover it with something. And then I thought, well, we'll make a model of a little tiny Fender amp that's huge. And then when I thought of that, then I wanted to cover everything with all different kinds of amps, and then the anvil cases we made for it. It just started and it didn't stop until it got to be what it is. You know, it's just, there was no concept. It just all fell together. That's why it was so easy, and when something's real easy, I think that's when it's the best, you know.
When things just sort of fall together.
It all fell together.
How about the Roadies?
How about those guys? They've been with me for a long time. I just never made them visible to anyone else. I saw them back in Buffalo Springfield. They were there. They've been in my mind for a long time, so, but I've never shown them to the people.
I get the impression from just from watching you in the film and from the music on this album, it seems like you're having a lot better time now than perhaps
than before.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is true. I think I don't take it so seriously anymore, and there's when you look back at the old bands, they're just not that funny. People want to be funny now. People want to have a good time. That's why this punk thing is so good and healthy, because the people they're not taking themselves seriously. They're saying you take yourself too seriously. The whole rock establishment, they're so carried away with themselves and how, you know, they're there and everything. It doesn't really mean anything anymore. People make fun of the established rock and roll scene. These like Devo and the newer groups that are out now, and several other groups, the Ramones and everything, that are much more vital to my ears than what's been happening in the last 4 or 5 years. I like Donna Summers, though. She's pretty good. Toot, beep, beep. Hey, mister! I like that. I like that kind of stuff. But mostly the old rock and roll groups, they're just taking themselves, it's like too serious, you know. It's like they know that they're human and they're going to die pretty soon, and they're all falling apart, and half the original guys aren't. It's not funny. So people don't want to be bothered with that. They already saw those groups in their prime. That's why I think that to not take yourself too seriously and just try to have a good time and not try to hold up what you've done as being right and try to stand behind it. I don't think that's the right thing to do. So this film, I guess it shows that I don't want to take it too seriously, you know, the Roadies and the Cones and all those. I don't think at first people told me that I was belittling my music by having all these props and everything around. Actually, one reviewer did use the term belittle because everything was so big. I don't know if he knew that it was a play on words or not, but, you know, I like it like this, to be able to do it and be not too serious about it, you know. This is better than the concert, especially for all of my friends who could never handle a concert scene anyway. I know that most of the people who listen to my music don't want to go to the Forum. You know, some of them will, and the Forum's great. We had a good show there and everything, but they don't want to go through all that. In a film, you can see it up close if you want to see it. I mean, if you're into my music, you'll enjoy it probably. You know, I don't know how it's going to make out with the regular movie-going audience that goes to see James Caan and, you know, and Lee Marvin and all those people. I really have no idea how it's going to make out in the big world, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's finished now as far as I'm concerned. It's over except for the curtain, you know.
That's a real interesting thing about you. You're saying that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter to you, does it?
How could it? It really doesn't affect anything. It's just the last thing I did, you know. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I know I'm not just going to go out and make another album because I'm supposed to. I mean, I have to wait until something happens that makes me want to do it.
Then the things all the work that you do for yourself. See?
I think so, yeah. I like it when people enjoy what I'm doing, but if they don't, I also like it. I sometimes really like aggravating people with what I do. I think it's good for them, you know. It may sound pretentious or something to say that, but I like to, I like to read somebody who saw Tonight's the Night or heard Tonight's the Night who's just so mad that I would, be put out a distorted record and have no respect for the craft that I'm in, They don't know what they're talking about. So as far as I'm concerned, they don't. Because if I put out the same thing over and over again and made a perfect kind of record, like as perfect a record as I can make is like a Harvest or Comes a Time, and that too is enough, that's maybe in 5 years I'll try another one like that, just to convince myself I can still do it.
What you were saying, in effect, you were saying, to me anyways, that yesterday's heroes are today's boring old farts. And but you said it in your own way.
Yeah.
It's better to burn out than to rust.
I think so. I mean, people want a star to be flashy, and they want something that, I don't know if flashy is the right word, but whatever. They want something that they can, they don't have to relate to as being human, Things that are human, you go away. I mean, you have your moment and you go away. But stars are supposed to represent something else, I guess, in a sort of a super quality of, it's great, and once it isn't great, people don't want to hear about it because that's not, doesn't satisfy their illusion. They want something to be bigger than life or whatever. So I think that's where that came from. It's better to burn out than to fade away or rust, because it makes a bigger flash in the sky,
Where did the title "Rust Never Sleeps" come from?
Actually, I didn't think of the title myself. Some friends of mine from Akron, Ohio, we used to be in an advertising company, and they had a client, and was a rust inhibitor, and they came up with the slogan "Rust Never Sleeps," and I was talking to them, and we were playing. They're musicians, and we were playing, and I had the song, and I sang "Rust Never Sleeps" during our Out of the Blue or Hey Hey My, whatever you want to call it. We sang that, and then I said, don't worry about the lyrics. I said, if you can't remember the lyrics I wrote, just make up your own lyrics, it doesn't matter, and just go ahead. So the first thing he said was, instead of it's better to burn out than it is to rust, he said it's better to burn out because rust never sleeps. And it caught my ear. I said, wow, right off they wrote better lyrics than I did. It makes more sense to me. I can relate to Rust Never Sleeps. It relates to my career. The longer I keep on going, the more I have to fight this corrosion. And now that's gotten to be like the World Series for me or something. I mean, the competition is there, whether I will corrode and eventually not be able to move anymore and just repeat myself until further notice, or whether I'll be able to expand and keep the corrosion down a little. So that's it. I thought that was a good. And another lyric that they changed was, there's a lyric in there. It goes, "The king is gone, but he's not forgotten. This is the story of Johnny Rotten." And then they changed it to, "The king is gone, but he's not a dud. This is the story of Johnny Spud." That's Devo.
So it was Devo who
Yeah.
came up with the idea.
Yeah.
Huh? And they also are in the film.
Yeah, there's a Devo type character in there descending down on our stage from very high above when he comes down. Sort of like a sign of things to come, I suppose, where they're out with the old and in with the new, sort of thing.
We got a lunch break here.
Great.
Oh, great.
Burgers.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Have a nice day. Man. Oh. Did anybody got a... Oh, we got it here, no problem. Just spilled a bunch of stuff.
Here's all the ketchup and stuff.
Want to stop tape, or you want to get you to eating lunch?
Well, how well can you talk with your mouth full?
That's fine. You just keep rolling.
Okay, we'll go.
Or do you want to start with It's Lonely at the Top?
Just how lonely is it at the top, Neil?
When I get there, I'll drop you a line.
Who is this guy, Bernard Shaky?
That's another guy that's, you know, I guess there's several. He's a film director, editor. Does a great job with my stuff.
Mm.
I have total confidence in him.
Good. You have a new technological innovation in this film called Rustavision.
Mm-hmm.
Since this is radio and people can't really see the rust falling off your guitars and everything.
You can see the rust falling off this hamburger right now. Well, it's just enables the audience to, certain people in the audience, mind you, not everyone can see this. Everyone should put on the glasses and give it a shot, though, as far as I can tell. But you can't tell, you know, you have to be in the right frame of mind to see the rust particles. But you can with this. It's a very high-tech thing. Few people understand it, actually. But you put on these glasses, and at certain points you can tell, like, especially in the older songs, you can see it. You can tell where the band starts to falter and the rust in the... First of all, it starts under your fingernails. You know, sort of like dirt. Look at that. See that?
Mm.
There's a little there.
Mm-hmm.
But with the glasses on while I'm playing, if you're tuned in, you can see it falling all over the floor of the stage, running down the chord on my guitar and everything. And if the folks come to see the movie, I'm sure they won't be disappointed. They'll see as much rust as they'd ever thought they'd see.
Tell me about, for a long time you were apart from Crazy Horse, and now you're back together playing better than ever. How did that reunion come about?
Well, you know, we went through a lot of changes. One of the original members died, so that had a profound effect on our, you know, we just couldn't play anymore. So we had to wait and see what happened, and eventually it came back together again. Also, I just went off a different way. For variety of my own, so I didn't just repeat myself over and over again. I just stepped out in a different direction and took a different tack. Crazy Horse is a very soulful feeling for me. They give me a support that no one else can give me. They afford me the possibilities of doing more with my guitar and my voice and feeling than anybody else. So that's why we still play together.
You sure look like you're having a good time playing together.
I know my musician friends. A lot of people think that we play so simple, and, you know, the bass is so simple, there's no finesse and everything. But they don't know that, you know, all of that. There's so much technical finesse. We're not trying to impress anybody. You know, we just want to play with the feeling, and none of us can play that fast. And we can play very slow. Very slow. We can play extremely slow. But not fast. We just can't do it. Maybe it's a rust. I don't know.
I don't know, like a hurricane gets cooking pretty good.
Yeah, but if you listen to that, I never really play anything fast. And all it is 4 notes on the bass. Just keeps going down. Billy plays a few extra notes now and then, but I mean, you know, it's not, and the drum beat's the same all the way through. It's like just a trance we get into. But if you try to analyze it, figure out why it sounds, sometimes it does sound like it's real fast, like we're really playing fast, but we're not. It's just everything starts swimming around in circles, and everything just starts elevating. It transcends the point of playing fast or slow or anything like that. Luckily for us, because we can't play fast.
The title American Stars and Bars. Is the story about that, tell me how you came up with that title.
Well, originally the concept was to have 2 sides of the album. One was American, and the other was Stars and Bars. And one was going to be American history, and the other was going to be American social comment, kind of, you know, the bar culture kind of thing, you know, where I was at the time. Mostly just, you know, drunk on my ass in bars. So I couldn't remember the American history part, so we left that out. So that's where that one came from.
You had a hand, I think, in not discovering but bringing to public attention a lady in the last couple of years named Nicolette Larson. Tell me
Right.
how that happened.
Linda Ronstadt introduced me to her. I called Linda up one day as I was doing Stars and Bars, and I said, do you know any girls who can really sing good and want to come down to my ranch and sing a couple of tunes, and then it won't take very long. So she said, yeah, I know there's Nicolette, and I'll come too. I didn't expect her to come. Felt great that she came. So they came up for a couple of days, and we ran through the tunes, and but I was recording in the other room. Once we got a good run through, I just sent them back, and that was it. They thought we were rehearsing to go to the studio, but we were finished before that.
They thought you were just rehearsing when you
Yeah.
were recording?
Yeah, they're nice girls. We were calling them the saddlebags. They're in the Crazy Horse and the Saddlebags. Well,
And so Nicolette had a good hit with one of your songs too, huh?
yeah. Sort of a disco version of Water Love there.
Mm-hmm. That make you
Beep,
feel...
beep, doot, doot. Hey, mister!
You're into disco, I can tell.
I'm into good disco. Donna Summer, that's good stuff. Hot stuff. That's good. That's good music.
Love to love
Some of
you.
that other crap is just post-hippie elevator music, though. I hate that stuff.
You have some great lines in the on the new album. One's the particularly stick in my head. Besides, in addition to "It's better to burn out than to fade away," are "I'd give 1,000 pelts to sleep with Pocahontas."
If I was a trapper. Yeah. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Do you think about being Canadian at all, or are you American now?
World citizen, I suppose, is what I am. I went to 10 different schools before I quit. I didn't grow up anywhere in particular. Not yet, anyway. No, I never did. I was in Winnipeg for a while, in Toronto, and all over Canada, really. Different places. Even when we lived in a city, we never lived on the same street for too long, you know.
Well, how'd you end up in L.A.?
Oh, I knew if I came down here, I'd have a shot at getting something going musically. And in Canada, if I'd have taken a shot at it, I probably would have done real well, but still nobody would have known. They just aren't enough people up there, and there's just not enough. If you're going to take a shot at it, you got to take a shot from a place where you can see, you know, where you can see what you're shooting at. In Canada, it's too many bushes in the way up there. You can't see.
But you knew from an early age that music was what you wanted to make your life?
Yeah, I'd say from age 9. I started writing songs when I was about 12.
So from that time on, the dream was to head south?
Yeah, there's a song, Don't Cry No Tears, I wrote before I was 15, I know that.
That was before you were 15?
Mhm.
Wow, I'm stunned.
And some different lyrics, but only a few. I was lucky to run into Steve Stills, who I'd met in Canada. He was a touring folk musician. Touring it's a pretty loose expression for what he was doing, but we met up there in Canada, and then when I met him down here, it was like the only guy I knew that, you know. So we started that group, and I was just lucky. I was leaving when I saw him, but anyway, we stuck around, and things worked out okay.
It must have really been fun in those days, though. I mean, something new was starting. LA.
That was great. It was good. Today's just as much fun, though. It really is. Maybe even more. I don't know. It was good, but we didn't know what we were doing, so we didn't know how much fun we were having till after it was over. Everybody thought, wow, that must have been a lot of fun, you know.
If only
We
could
were just
remember.
there. Yeah, it was good.
How many years is Buffalo Springfield?
18 months.
Wow. Oh, I thought it was longer than that.
The time between my last record and this one was the total amount of time Buffalo Springfield had.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, it's kind of, it blows my mind every once in a while when I think about it, too.
So what was the very next step for you after that?
Well, you know, I sort of dropped out of the group. I couldn't handle it. I don't know why, but something inside me felt like I wasn't quite on track. I think it was when we booked the Johnny Carson show. But anyway, right around the time of Monterey Pop Festival, I don't know, I had a real negative attitude about all of those things, about the pop festivals and Woodstock. I thought was going to be a joke, and I went there, but I wasn't really into it. You know, I mean, it was so big and everything. I didn't know what we were doing. I saw all these people, and you know, all those things. I mean, it wasn't like it seems now, like, you know, like we were all there and everything. It was great for the people and for a lot of the musicians, I guess. But to me, I didn't even know what I was doing there. I still don't know. I know I couldn't hardly hear myself when we were playing, and I didn't know if the people could hear us. And I saw the movie, and I wasn't in it, so maybe I wasn't too good there. I don't know. I remember, you know, seeing Jimi Hendrix in a pickup truck in an airport about 10 miles from the site when he came in, and we came in on these chartered planes, and Melvin Belli and everything stole his pickup truck from this other guy, and we're riding in a stolen pickup truck with Melvin Belli and Hendrix and all these people. I remember that more than the show. I think stealing a pickup truck with Hendrix is one of the high points of my life.
Is he one of your particular heroes? Because I noticed in
Absolutely the best electric guitar player that ever lived.
In the movie, you have a Jimi Hendrix button on your guitar strap.
Yeah, right.
So that's a pretty good tribute, I
Somebody gave it to me just before I went out there, and I said, all right. It was in black and white. It wasn't a color button.
Is it still on your guitar strap?
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It's starting to corrode very badly now, though. I think I'm going to take it off. It might be spreading to the button.
You won't be able to see the rust, though.
Yeah. You got to preserve Jimmy. Don't let him rust anymore now.
Oh, no, for sure. So then after Buffalo Springfield, you took a hiatus?
What's a hiatus? That reminds me of the place where the Kennedys go on a summer vacation.
That's hiatus.
Oh,
Port.
right.
Where they got great lobster and stuff there. You'll love it.
There's a hiatus. That's a vacation?
Yeah, some time off to do it for yourself. What'd you do?
After the Springfield,
Mm-hmm.
started working on my own record
Immediately?
right away. Couldn't get off Atlantic fast enough. I mean, only because I wanted to be separated from the Springfield. I didn't want to be a member of the Springfield competing with other members of the Springfield on the same label.
Was there any kind of bitterness between you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Tons?
Oh, sure. But it wore off. You know, I mean, we were young. We were all emotionally involved to the point where, you know, we're still growing up. We didn't know what was happening to us.
So then you started your own project and got involved in someone else's too at the same time. That must have been incredibly grueling.
What?
With the Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Oh, well, you know, that was nice because when Stephen came out to the house and asked me if I'd play with them and everything, I knew they must have needed me for something, and I guess it was, you know, the live part, you know, where they didn't have enough electric guitars or something and the rock and roll to maintain over the folk harmony thing, you know. When I first joined the group, though, they didn't want to use my name. They just wanted it to be Crosby, Stills, and Nash. To me, I thought, well, what's in it for me? Well, I can still play guitar. I mean, but eventually, you know, they saw the point that it should be, you know, and Young on the end. And that group, I was always like an add-on. You know, that's always like an add-on. Even when we played live, I didn't come out at first. I came out later on, you know, which in some ways was good for me. It separated me, which I really didn't want to be just grouped in with a bunch of other people, even if I thought they were great. I wanted to be by myself because I thought it was easier to get around, you know.
Do you suppose in your wildest imagination that there will ever be a concert with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young? Maybe, perhaps, just all
Maybe
of
in
you?
my wildest imagination there might be. It's possible. Who cares?
Probably about 18 million kids out there care.
Yeah, but that's great. But that's better for them to care than it is for them to see what happened. I mean, that's a reality of life. It's better for them to remember it the way it was. That's why Muhammad Ali isn't fighting anymore, you know.
Oh, I also wanted to ask you, in addition to Rust Never Sleeps, there's also the soundtrack album, correct?
Yeah, right. The first album that came out is all new songs, which I thought was to give people an even break. If they don't want to buy the soundtrack album, which is going to have maybe 10 old songs on it, I don't like to repeat that over and over and just say, well, if you want to hear these new songs, you got to buy these old songs, you know. If they don't want to hear the old songs again, they don't have to buy it, you know, to hear the new ones. And that's why I did that. So the new album has got all the new songs from Rust Never Sleeps plus 3 other ones. And the next album will be called Rust Never Sleeps also. And it will look basically the same, have almost the same cover, and it would just be a little more corroded than the first one. And it'll have the entire film soundtrack, and that's several more songs. And that'll be out in a couple of months. We're just working on it now.
So, do you have any plans to go out and promote the film?
This is it. This is it. I'm giving it a big push right now. This is the whole thing right now.
Well, thanks for coming by. Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you'd like to for us to cover?
No, I'd like to thank my manager, Elliot Roberts, for driving me down here today.
Wait, now who is this guy, Elliot Rabinowitz, that I
Eli
see on the...
Rabinowitz? That's a friend of Bernard Shaky's.
Oh, I see. These mysterious guys, I don't know. Okay.
Okay, thank
well,
you.
thanks a lot. That was
All right.
neat. Something I wanted to do for a long time, too. Now finish your burger.
Mm-hmm.